They could have used one less drawer, you mean, huh?
Well,
or spread them over on the other side.
And you can't have everything on that side here.
Right. But you like the room anyway, right?
Yeah.
Bathroom's a good side.
I'm going to do something different here. I don't know what yet, but I'll put this away.
Oh, here's the morning light from our balcony. Looking forward from the ship into the city of Split. The street washers are out. People are walking to work. The sun has come up over the PVZ, whatever that is. A bunch of buses. We're in the port dock area. Got a guy or a girl walking with cleaning and sweeping already this morning. A little box. Interesting looking. Huge TV bag on the back of this monster. I can't tell what it is. Yep. Get on the bike and you can see it better. Oh, here is Split. Well, it's drill time up here. We're getting our lifeguard drills. This is a shot of the boats. The lifeboats look very, very secure. It's called the Artemis. And here is the view of the lifeboat. We're 48, 47 passengers, and I think these hold 25 each, so enough. Right next to a blue line. Looks like a freighter. Maybe it's a cruise ship. It's got a bunch of portholes up there for passengers. Here's another Jadrolina Petarhetskrovich, and we are in the town of Diocletian. Diocletian's palace and fortress beyond those walls. They're just outside the fort. In fact, they say this whole city is part of his fortress, palace grounds. Okay, what fashion is this, ladies? What is this the
This is the latest.
latest?
This is
Bonatique.
This is split a la orange.
And usually you wear it without anything under it.
Okay, we'll go for it.
Can I be one of the girls?
Big boobs, yeah.
You're supposed to put it on the bottom anyway.
Cute. Here's our captain.
Chief Officer, Safety and Security Officer of the ship.
Security officer.
When we hear an alarm consists of 7 short blasts, prolonged by 1 long blast on ship's public address, please, wherever you are in that moment, please proceed on Sunday. Here, this is your master station. This is our meeting point in case of emergency. I'll repeat again. This is the correct way to wear your life jacket. Put the brands over your waist.
Passengers came through this port. So you can imagine what it's like in July and August when all the cars of the Germans, Austrians and Italians are queuing up to get on the ferries out to the islands. There is some commuting from the islands Brač and Šolta. We have a ferry every night throughout the year from Split to Ancona and back. It's an overnight trip. And in summer they introduced the so-called long coastal ferry from Rijeka, 200 miles up north, via Split, Dubrovnik, down Teams, and you can use it throughout the day. And a warm welcome to the most beautiful city of the world. Mind you, the last statement is absolutely not negotiable. I'm going to be a local guide for this morning's tour. My name is Damir. If it's easier for you, call me Danny, it won't bother me. And of course, feel free to ask everything you might want to know. I won't bite when you ask your questions, but believe me, I'm not that fishing village called Aspalatos. The Romans, and that's going to be the focus of our morning tour, decide to build a palace just where we are standing right now in the 3rd century AD. He called it Spalatum. The Croats were part of Slavic tribes that migrated from far inland Russia down to Persia, up to the Mediterranean shores, arrived of the age of its population. Every 2.3 inhabitant of Split is younger than 23 years. And that's something that we have to thank the Emperor Diocletian, who decided 1700 years ago to build his palace at exactly this spot out there. Now I don't know how much of preparation you had in regard of this morning's tour. Over 250,000 square feet. Mind you, at parts it was up to 4 stories high. Let's move a few steps. This is a topic that really everybody knowing anything about it could spend days and days explaining. But as I always say, seeing means understanding. All experts agree. This is the way the palace looked when it was ready to be moved on, and they called such a structure officially to be entering the palace down here. But this one I wouldn't call an entrance. There was a pier, ships were there on duty, and in case one of the 3 land entrances fell, the emperor still had time enough to escape from his fallen palace. So I would rather call this one a sort of emergency exit. The gates were connected by streets, so from down here up to the northern gate, it was called Cardo, Long Street. From the eastern to the western gate, it was called Decumanus, coming from the word decimal, and basically meaning everything is divisible with 2, and that's what it does. It cuts the palace into 2 halves, but if you have a closer look, you see that there is a difference in architecture. Up here, some administration, a couple of families, but actually a miniature military barrack. Some 300 soldiers for protection of the emperor. Down here, first came his spiritual part, his mausoleum, Jupiter's temple. These 2 we are going to be visiting. And here we also had 2 smaller temples dedicated to Cybele and Venus, destroyed throughout the centuries. Until today, this southern portion of the palace is by us locals referred to as the emperor's apartment. This part contained his private premises.
We're going in one of the gates. I guess this was the gate that he was talking about that went on the water into the substructure. And here we are in the substructure. They should call it basement halls of the palace. Oh, this is great.
Now I get into my teaching role. This is a disciplinary asset for nasty guests, so watch out. We are hearing something that everybody calls the basements to Diocletian's palace. We didn't go underground, so these are no basements. But these are officially the substructures to the palace. But if you find the word basements, that's what they are referring to. Before I start telling you about the life and work and the construction of the palace as such, I do need to take you 2 steps further back into the history, simply for you to easier link the ties and to easier understand the entire story. Here we have a portion of the Dalmatian coast with the city of Split in its heart. You arrived yesterday from Zagreb, did you? Yes. So you came from up there somewhere, and you either came out by the coast somewhere at Zadar Šibenik, or you took the freeway and came out at the fortress of Klis. So this one it was. Drove down into the center. This is exactly the pier where your ship berths. Hvar, Korčula, Dubrovnik, Greece, all that further down to the south. The whole story starts actually in the 5th century BC. At that time, an Illyrian tribe who called themselves Delmati. The Dalmatian dog is a registered Croatian breed. It does come from here. And I'm not pulling your leg, thank you Lord for internet, so you can always check my words. Those Illyrians at that time simply came to various parts of our coast searching for strategic locations to build up the first organized settlements. In this part of our coast they opted for this location here. And if you look at the wider picture, they have chosen well. 2 mountains to protect the whole thing from the inland. In between the mountains, the only natural mountain path within a range of 40 miles. They built a fortress. It has been changed throughout the history of time with more than 60,000 inhabitants. And I needed this brief introduction because exactly here, the gentleman who built all this was born. Let's move into it.
Here's how thick these walls are. It's about 2 meters, 6 foot thick walls all around. Probably the same as these column width there. So this is the substructure holding up the palace because this was built on the waterfront. So this was probably very damp down here.
of the entire eastern portion of the Roman army. A big portion it was. Mind you, if any of you wants to sit down there, for me it's the same, I can face that side. I know it's a walking tour that you book, but I'm not as bad as I look. At 50% of the Dalmatian dogs are genetically deaf. And what you don't hear, you don't fear. So it has nothing to do with bravery.
I didn't know that.
Where did I stop? Diocletian becomes commander of the entire eastern portion of the Roman Army at that time. After a succession of very unsuccessful attempts at that time, told Diocletian they're going to back him up and he should take that throne. He does. In 287 he was proclaimed Roman Emperor. During his reign, he performs a complete military and monetary reform. He reinforces the borders to the empire. He reconquers Egypt. And he was the last pagan emperor. After him comes Constantine, the Milan Treaty in 312 AD. Everybody was given free choice of religion. At that point it was the new religion, Christianity. But Diocletian kills Christians wherever he could. I'm slowing my voice down, but you see it's still too strong for them. They like me in private, not when we work together.
It works.
If I want to push somebody off, I just go one level up, not an issue. Just for you to know, if I start shouting, that's to scare another group away. Unlike us, who have to pay contributions our entire working life.